Welcome to another edition of Good Karma Wrestling. I'm Gabe Neitzel from ESPN Milwaukee, where everything is great. With me, as always, Brian Rowitz from ESPN in West Palm, and from the bad place, ESPN 1000 in Chicago, Jonathan Hood.
Sports.
Yeah. But the wrestling's good, right?
Right.
I think we had a good week.
That's great. That we're not talking sports on here. No sports. No sports. No great Miami sports out because all the great sports South Florida, all the great sports Milwaukee. We're not talking Chicago sports here. Can I just get a respite for an hour plus, please?
Yes, we will give you that
Please.
respite. We will give you that respite. However, your wallet's probably going to get hit because AEW has another pay-per-view event coming up this Sunday. It is going to be WrestleDream from the Pacific Northwest. And following weekend, on next Saturday, we have WWE Fastlane. So with a couple of, premium live events and pay-per-views coming up, what events are you looking forward to the most? Are you looking forward to WrestleDream or are you looking forward to Fastlane? And by the way, for the record, Fastlane as of right now, and we're 10 days away, 2 matches announced.
Right. But a contract signing also announced. So does that count as a third match? They haven't announced that the IC title match will take place at Fastlane, but there will be a contract signing Monday. So maybe a third match announced.
Okay. Well, I think every time we come down with one of these things where, hey, it's AEW show and then there's a WWE show, we know that the AEW show is going to slap. We just know that it's going to be a stacked card. We don't care who's going to be in the building or where it is. You just know it's going to be fantastic because of the way they stack the cards. The one thing about AEW different from WWE is WWE understands that here's Fastlane, but boy, wait till you get to Survivor Series because that's one of the real main tentpole events. So even though Fastlane doesn't have much yet, John Cena and mystery partner against the Bloodline and Seth Rollins against Shinsuke Nakamura. We know those matches will be fine, but you know that AEW is just going to deliver because WrestleDream is something that Tony Khan wants to do. And for the Pacific Northwest and for the New Japan fans. And there's supposed to be some big announcement or some changing of the guard. So
a new era.
That'll be the card.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Tony said it's a new era this week. That has to mean something, no? Or is it just a big announcement?
Do we hear Metalingus coming through the loudspeakers?
I had that in college, but I had penicillin to get rid of it.
Well, fast forward to the end of this show. News and notes of Wrestling Observer reports Edge's WWE contract up Saturday, September 30th.
Mm-hmm.
Just putting that out there. The pay-per-view is Sunday, October 1st. So take that what you want with it. I'm just, sharing information, a little tease ahead to news and notes. So, just so you know that. That's
fine, but like Edge being, if Edge is there for that card, does that mean it's new?
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying the man's a free agent as of Sunday.
He's not a reporter, ladies and gentlemen.
Right. I just read reports.
I mean, I don't think that means it's a new era, but also when they brought in Christian, they overhyped the hell out of Christian. Right. So it would just make sense to do it for Edge as well. They're a package deal.
But that's the thing. Like, you look at WrestleDream, like, this is one hell of a card. Like, I'd say I'm more excited about this card than I was going into All Out a month ago, and that show more than delivered. But Hangman versus Swerve, I think the Christian and Darby 2 out of 3 falls. Bryan Danielson versus Zack Sabre Jr., FTR versus Aussie Open. Like, this is being treated as if it is one of those tentpole events. Like, I am legit excited about Sunday night with AEW.
Yeah, this is going to be a good card. I've got little things I can pick at.
Sure.
I've just had an issue now with the last 2 pay-per-views with MJF not defending the world championship. Like,
sure.
Again, if you go to, I feel WWE can get away with it because Roman Reigns ain't going to be at Fastlane. Like, he's not showing up in Indianapolis. He's not going to be defending it there. But when you have the model that WWE does with the premium live events on Peacock, where, it's $100 or $120, whatever it is, for an entire year's worth of pay-per-views, including Mania and all these other things, like, you can get away with Roman Reigns not being there. But, oh, by the way, you still have Seth Rollins defending the second world championship that you have. So that's still going to be defended on that card. Whereas with AEW, the more of these pay-per-views that they put together, without, and we've already had this conversation in terms of the world title being cold with MJF holding it, like the more pay-per-views that they have where MJF is instead defending the secondary tag team titles, the further away we get from these pay-per-views meaning something and the AEW World Championship meaning something.
Yeah, it is problematic that on this WrestleDream, the heavyweight champion once again is not defending his championship. At least it's not on this card, and I don't think it's going to happen.
No, because he's doing the 2-on-1. He's fighting a handicap match.
Again, they're putting ROH ahead of AEW, and I think that that's wrong. Look, I'm an Honor Club guy, and still it doesn't resonate with me. I watch ROH, and it's kind of like I still want to see the AEW champion wrestle. Now, I do
the Ring of Honor World title will be defended.
The what?
The Ring of Honor World title, Eddie Kingston versus Shibata. That title's on the line.
Okay, thanks. For the New Japan honk, that's going to be great. Good, congratulations. That's their wet dream, not mine. But
I believe it's titled WrestleDream.
I understand that. That's right. It should. Why can't it be wet dream for me? All the matches I want to see. WrestleDream. It's a dream for Eddie Kingston. Good for him. It's a dream for him, but not necessarily for me. We'll be watching though. But I think that the point is well taken, guys, about MJF again, heavyweight champion that's not defending the championship. Now I will say this: the Switchblade Jay White thing that we saw on Wednesday night, fantastic.
Yep.
You know, it's dumb luck, but because of the injury to Adam Cole, we get somebody that was on the top of the card that was the main event of Wrestle Kingdom for New Japan, took some time off, and now right here in the mix with this. All I know is that Jay White, if he was in WWE, it'd be him against Cody Rhodes right now. That's what I think. I think he'd be like semi-main or like middle of the card trying to work his way up. So for him to even be in the face of MJF is fun. Again, we don't get that at WrestleDream, and that's down the line, but at least it's something for the future.
Yeah, but the way AEW is, the way the timing is, the next pay-per-view will be in November. This is going to be a random Wednesday night, it feels like. Quake by the Lake or just some... Yes, MJF versus Jay on a random Wednesday night. Winter is coming. There you go.
That's a match you want to pay for me. But
Agreed. But can they book it all the way till November? Late November?
Well, all you have to do is... I mean, I guess that's usually middle November, is it not? Because then they do Winter is Coming in early December and you got a couple weeks to let it breathe or whatever. But like, I feel like you should be able to, with what you drew up last night. And oh, by the way, they should have just relinquished the ROH titles last night, because now you're putting him in a bad situation, because you're either going to bury the Righteous, which I don't know if you have future plans for them or not. But eventually, he's got to drop him. He's got to and if MJF is going to go out there and single-handedly be the plucky babyface that just fights these 2-on-1, like eventually he's got to lose.
Right.
I would agree. However, this booking gives MJF the opportunity to be more like himself. Like he's not the babyface or quasi babyface now because of the attack that took place on Jay White. You know that MJF was behind that. So it's an opportunity for him to be the true devil and the heel in that scenario. And again, I don't know how this is all going to work out. I just know it's very interesting. At least
November 18th.
For a company that lacks story at times, they're actually telling stories.
Sure. November 18th is full gear, but also like in terms of stories, like why the Righteous? Like why not the Kingdom, who's been involved sort of on the outside with these two, with Cole? Like, wouldn't that have made plenty more sense to have them fighting for the titles?
Well, my guess is that the Righteous, again, because like all of these plans were in motion with the, they did the Eliminator tag team thing. Right. I can't remember if it was on Collision or if it was on the 2-hour Rampage, but they had done that where the Righteous won for the chance to challenge for the ROH tag titles, and we didn't know about Adam Cole's situation at that point, right? Okay. Like, so many of these wheels were already in motion. Like, my guess is the Righteous were originally going to lose. Right, I can't imagine the Righteous beating MJF and Adam Cole at this point, but the injury to Adam Cole's ankle, which obviously is legitimate if you happen to see any of the photos that Britt Baker put out there on social media. Yikes. Tough scene for Adam Cole, and we hope that he recovers quickly, but he's going to be out of action for a while. He ain't coming back anytime soon, so now you're going to have to pivot, and I just wish they would keep more of the ROH stuff out of AEW. Because now because I'm guessing Matt and Nick Jackson aren't going to win in their match. They've got a fatal 4-way for a chance to challenge for the AEW World Tag Team Championships, but they're already ROH Trios champions with Hangman Adam Page. Like it just becomes a little too convoluted, like because there are just so many belts just floating around, and yet we still can't find an opportunity for MJF to consistently defend the World Heavyweight Championship on pay-per-views.
Yeah, let's be the 3,215th podcast that says that there's too many belts in AEW, because it's true. It's true. They do have too many championships. Like, you can have that many championships.
Well, no, AEW is fine. AEW has enough championships. Just keep the ROH ones in ROH.
Well, I mean, when ROH belts are on AEW TV, it's like they're AEW belts too, though. That's like, you have championships, but have them mean something. Mm-hmm. Unless you're going to tell me that ROH is going to get some kind of, HBO Max deal, or you could be able where everyone can see them, then what's the point of all this? I just think that, when you ask the question, bro, I just think that the card's pretty good. I can poke holes in a couple things, but I know it all is going to deliver. I'll give you an example of what I can poke holes in. The end of Dynamite gave us Hangman Adam Page against Swerve Strickland in a contract signing in the main event spot. Mm-hmm. Guys, I don't know what they're fighting for. They're fighting for what is Swerve is fighting for Adam Page's spot in the company
that he says he doesn't do much with.
I don't know what they're fighting for, and that those rambling promos at the end, it's kind of like, I didn't get it. Maybe I just missed it. I understand it's gonna be a good match. I just think I don't know what's the stakes. So Strickland wins. He gets Adam Page's spot.
Yeah, you didn't need the contract signing, that's for sure. And this is another example of AEW having a good original concept, but then not being able to continue any sort of story to the pay-per-view. Because we, all three of us, love the original promo that Swerve Strickland cut on Adam Page, talking about his spot and how he hasn't done anything with it. And there just really hasn't been anything ever since then, other than Swerve Strickland getting very serious and telling Prince Nana that he can't do the dance on the way to the ring.
Well, so I enjoyed the promo. I thought it was good. Like, Patch, I agree they're not fighting for anything. That closed Dynamite last night. Are they main eventing Sunday?
They better not.
God, no. Oh, excuse me.
Holy cow. That's
then. But look at the card. Like, who is then?
And it's very obvious who's closing the show. They're in Washington. Yes, come on. Okay. They're closing with Bryan Danielson taking on Zack Sabre.
But you talk about stakes, like there's nothing there. Bryan said he wants to fight Zack. Zack has had some promos in New Japan and on social media. But if you're watching AEW, you don't even know who Zack Sabre Jr. is.
Yeah, but you know who Bryan Danielson is, and he's big enough, then he's closing the show.
Okay.
But you understand Browitz's point, though.
Yes.
It's WrestleDream for all of us that's on the inside and smart and like, oh, we can't wait to see that. But then that does not grow the company, though. Like, it does not. We're all in the AEW circle. Like, we know that's going to be a 5-star match. But do the WWE stragglers that want to do something on that Sunday, do they know that's a good match? That just want the bloodline and just want Cody and Seth? I don't, like, that's the difference between, hey, you're inside. You know Zack Sabre Jr. is great. Hey, when did you see this match? Okay, the circle understands. What about outside the circle? Do they understand? And that's why your business is like this instead of like this.
Yeah, I agree.
But if you were going strictly story, like advancing AEW stuff, the main event would be Darby versus Christian, 2 out of 3 falls.
Agreed. And if there is an Edge tie-in, like I wouldn't rule out that being the end.
If that's the main event and Edge doesn't show up, there's going to be disappointments, right? So if you're going to put that on last, Adam Copeland better be coming out to some Metalingus and running around and just getting all jacked up.
No, that's fair.
Heel Edge or babyface Edge?
I mean, if he's aligning with Christian, it's heel Edge.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Going all in. Maybe he'll start talking about dead moms. You've got the one guy talking about dead dads, and then Edge is talking about dead moms.
But those two together can't get booed. Like when we talked about like Dark Order as heels, like that just doesn't work. Like Edge and Christian as heels, like I don't see it in 2023.
I think that Edge would be opposed to Christian Cage the way he has been so mean to people and going after Darby Allin. I think he could be pretty pissed off. Could Edge help Darby Allin win that third fall of the 2 or 3 falls? I don't know.
Are you saying it's going to 3 falls? That's a bold prediction.
Yeah, it's 3 falls. What do you mean?
Has it 2 out of 3? That is a stat I would love to know. Has anybody ever swept a 2 out of 3 falls match? Has anyone won 2-0 in the 2 out of 3 falls?
I'm thinking. Hold on.
Okay. Like, that would be incredible. You do the stipulation and somebody wins both right away. That's it.
Like,
do a squash 2 out of 3 falls.
Yeah.
You know what? I have seen that, but it was like a preliminary match. You know what I'm saying? It was like one of those things like, hey, I'll take you on. I'll give you 2 shots at this. And like the jobber gets squashed in 2 straight falls. I've seen that.
Yeah.
But not like 2 strong contenders where it's like, I lost 0-2. Damn. I've never seen that. Not with 2 good wrestlers or a tag team. I haven't seen that.
Man, that would be incredible. That'd be incredible if that's the way they did it. Christian Cage just wins both right away. Yeah. That's it. Well, that's it. See you later.
Good night,
guys. Oh, we've got a lot of other cool things happening here on GKW today. Some interviews around OVW and the hit Netflix series Wrestlers, which is out right now. That's coming up later in the show as a part of the 3 counts. But the 3 count are the other top stories in professional wrestling we want to talk about. So, Brian, we have number 1 this week on the 3 count.
Let's start with a pretty strong week of wrestling, starting with Friday night, SmackDown, Rampage Grand Slam, Collision Saturday, Raw Monday, Dynamite last night, a lot of wrestling. What was the best show from this past week?
That's a great question. It's a question that Brooks has never asked before.
Yeah, right, because it felt like top to bottom, like there really wasn't much skippable this week.
I mean, SmackDown, they got to some things, but like with no LA Knights, with
we got Io and Asuka doing Io and Asuka things.
Yeah, and Io and Asuka delivered. I kind of lean towards Collision. I really enjoyed Saturday night's Collision. I mean, you had Andrade and Jay White in there. A good main event. I feel like they advanced some things just because the wrestling and action was good on the 2-hour Rampage, but it's always weird for me when they do that because you knew it was taped on Wednesday and it just has such still kind of a disconnect to it when you watch it, knowing that it was like still from Wednesday. But I'll go with Collision. I think Collision was the best show this past week.
You know, it's a great story that both companies are giving their all. Like, there's some things I really liked about Monday Night Raw that I thought was very good, especially the ending. That was some old school, like Mid-South at the end. All they needed is like the rolling graphics. It was just amazing. Like, we gotta go. So long, everybody. Like, it's one of those things. That was like a fantastic ending. Like,
match of the week this week is going to be like, I mean, it's going to be difficult to narrow it down. Like, it's funny. When we started this podcast, it became match of the week. And then we expanded it to, okay, we can do 3. Like, it's going to be tough to limit it to 3 this week because there were a lot of really good ones.
I think for me, it's AEW Dynamite. I believe it was. I don't mean this. I mean yesterday's Dynamite. I mean, like, if we're doing match of the week, can we go back to New York?
You're going to go all the way back to Grand Slam to Wednesday? You can bend the rules, make them how you want.
I think, because that was a stacked card. I guess that's the point. Yeah. Stacked card. But
even like the 2-hour Rampage had a lot of really great action on it too.
They did. I think that you may be right though, Gabe, when you talk about Collision, because we haven't done a poll question about this yet, but it's almost like we should ask, like, if you're going to watch AEW programming, do you prefer Collision over Dynamite? Collision just seems like a different show, like it's being written by someone different. I don't know. The pacing's different. Kevin Kelly and Nigel McGuinness on the calls different. It's a little bit more relaxed. It's not like, I gotta just continue to plug. It was just kind of it's a different production seemingly. And I thought that at Grand Rapids, what a great crowd. They rarely get wrestling up there, and then they get wrestling and they get great matches. I get Jay White against El Idolo, just as an example, as a great match.
Well, you get a Texas death match, which is weird. I think it's the first time they've done a Texas death match outside of the state of Texas, which is, worth noting. Yeah. But like, you get RVD and Hook. you know, in front of, which obviously was going to play well with RVD being a Michigan guy. Like, it just seemed like there was a good mix of just about everything in there.
The FTR match, like against the Workhorsemen, like that was a good match. It was a fun match. Like getting something like that even add to that show.
I needed more from. I needed to see that match 2 or 3 times. The Workhorsemen, they gave their all, and you look at them, you're like, oh God, these two, right? But they can work. Yeah. Those guys, the Workhorsemen, fantastic.
And I'll tell you what, guys, like, and I know we didn't mention the Statlander Julia Hart match that's for the TBS title at WrestleDream. Like the matches that Julia Hart had this week, she had a really good one with Sky Blue on Saturday night. Like I feel like they haven't asked her to do much. And now they've been like slowly bringing her along, right? Like first she was the cheerleader in Varsity Blondes and then comes over and she's just more of this like menacing figure. But now she's getting in the ring more and you can see that she's starting to get pretty good at this. And like she's just a young talent that's really progressing within AEW. And the matches that she put on Dynamite last night, on Collision on Saturday night, like I'm pretty excited for this match for her versus Statlander.
I 100% agree. Like they're building her up to where you think she might even win on Sunday, but like all of those matches were good. Like you had Sky Blue, you had Kira Hogan on Saturday. I thought that was decent, and Willow last night with a different, like Willow with an edge, like getting that win, like that was fun.
Yeah, there was no smile there.
No.
Well, because and then going back to Collision, like, and then you still have story development on Collision. Right. Like it seemed they're having banger matches, but now they're even continuing the story with Miro and whatever we're going to call CJ Perry.
I think,
yeah. I don't know if she's just CJ
Perry.
Miro's hot and flexible wife. I don't know what we're calling her.
Wait, you
said that.
Now, hold on now. Be careful.
It's
when she on the graphic.
Yeah, I was about to say, when she came out, it said it on the screen, hot and flexible.
You're not to say that. That's a man's wife. Damn it. You can't say that, Gabe. Be careful now.
Look, I don't want to piss off the Redeemer. Trust me. I don't want anything to do with pissing off the Redeemer.
He's a friend of the program. I don't want him to be upset.
But it just, to your point, J Hood, like there are some times where you watch Dynamite and you're going, oh, that's decent. But like, I just feel like Collision has found this balance of, and maybe because it's Bryan Danielson's show and that's the one he's more involved with. And you kind of get that mix of just about everything. You're having good matches, you're developing talent, you're developing storylines, and like just the way that they've been able to do it. Maybe because that's the one Bryan Danielson's on that has that different feel.
Also, bro, I can make a case to say that AEW Rampage might have been one of the best shows of the week too, because of some of the stuff we laid out. So the Julia Hart Sky Blue was part of the 2-hour Rampage, and believe me,
that was Rampage. Okay, I got it. Well, I'm sorry.
Listen, it's not your fault. Not your fault, brother. There's a lot of wrestling on TV.
There was.
There was. I mean, well, so we got 4 hours of wrestling on. Yeah, we got 4 hours wrestling on Friday, right?
Yeah. Uh-huh. The problem was Rampage is usually pretty skippable.
Yep. Uh-huh.
And then they made it 2 hours this past week, and it wasn't skippable.
No, it was not. It was fantastic, actually.
Yes.
I just want to say on the record about Julia Hart. You laid out who she was and who she is now. That persona is amazing because when you see her in the ring, she looks unbeatable. Mm-hmm. And it's like, boy, that's a different crowd than just being with Griff Garrison and Brian Pillman Jr. But she's in there and she's working. And she looks mean, and it's kind of like, yeah, it's like her and Tony Storm in particular. They've done a 180 over the last 5 months.
Her facial expressions, and like they know it, right? Like they get up and close, and they can capture those. So it's probably tougher for the live audience to see that. But watching back at home, like the facial expressions of Julia Hart, like you don't want to mess with her.
And I think having Brody out there adds to the character. Like having someone big and menacing like him that's just sort of there. Like I think that adds to things.
Yeah, so there's a lot there, and then of course like Darby and Sting, and I guess Luchasaurus and Christian Cage to set up, Christian Cage eventually winning the TNT Championship for real. I mean, great.
Everybody knew how that match was ending. Like there was a reason it went first on Saturday night because everybody knew it was going to happen.
Yeah,
and it's weird from an AEW standpoint. Like for Dynamite, like I thought last night was more story driven. Like, you don't have a ton of, like, banger matches you think of, but, like, The MJF Jay White promo, I enjoyed the Hangman Swerve. The MJF and Cole like backstage or the video with their fishing, like that stuff was enjoyable last night.
With Captain Insano?
Yeah, that was a good catch.
You know what? This is why the WWE is the industry leader, because they're the ones to start all this with these vignettes to be able to show personalities. And AEW is learning. Like, match is great, but without story and a little ha-ha, you got to have that because it's supposed to be, the show's supposed to be a full entertainment package. Mm-hmm. And for you to know who these people are. And so AEW is getting better at that. We've been looking for that for a couple of years? Now we're getting it.
Yeah. By the way, from this question standpoint, I think the big part is that like Raw felt watchable for the most part. Like they're moving stuff around. Mm-hmm. We have great wrestling. And I think that's the thing. Like we had so many shows this week that you couldn't watch in a 10-minute span, with the fast forward button.
Yeah, you could not. I'm going to let you guys in on something. So it's already in our podcast feed. I hosted Busted Open on SiriusXM. I was in for Mark Henry and Denise Salcedo. And the producer said, hey, we have this segment called Weekly Winner. Like, yeah. So you're supposed to pick the best show of the week. And I go, oh, okay. And she gives me the email, and it's like a screed. Just like this whole thing of like, here's what happened on Collision. Here's what happened on Raw. Here's what happened on NXT. Here's what happened on Dynamite. Impact 1000 week 2. Here's what happened on SmackDown. Here's what happened on Rampage. So just pick the winner out. Like, what? You want me to comment on all these shows? I said, I only have so much wrestling bandwidth, but it just shows you how much wrestling. It took the entire screen, like everything. She goes, yeah, is there any way that you could possibly break down Roxanne Perez against Lola Vice? Like, who are they?
Oops. Who are we talking about? No, but I'm sure Browitz can. I can't.
It's just like, but it just shows you that it's great that we have this much wrestling and so much to choose from. Where we're all trying to figure out, was Raw better? Collision, but that's actually a good thing.
Yep, agreed.
Yeah.
What do we have at number 2?
All right, in the AEW and WWE world this week, a big story coming out. Jade Cargill, officially a member of the WWE. Social impressions almost 1 million in 24 hours after the WWE announcement. Did AEW fail Jade Cargill, or did she just outgrow AEW?
I mean, 1 million. Is that really what they're... I mean, after The Rock did 153. Like,
yeah. So she's not quite there yet.
Yeah. I would say that she outgrew AEW. It seems like she was looking for a bigger stage. If we're talking about professional wrestlers and sports entertainers, she seems to be more sports entertainer. Like, I think she can do a lot of things from the entertainment aspect of WWE. And I think that's maybe a better fit for her because she was a dominant champion. It's not like she was putting on banger after banger after banger in AEW. I think that they can do character development with her because she's this big. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked to see her the way that Nia Jax was talking on Monday Night Raw. I wouldn't be surprised if like she comes in and knocks Nia Jax off and is like, no, I'm the biggest thing. I'm the strongest thing on this women's roster right away. Like, I guess I just don't see her on NXT right away. I just think she's a bigger deal than that personally. But that's where I kind of lean. I think that she just outgrew AEW in that she's more of a sports entertainer. And as AEW still tries to figure out how to incorporate everything into a wrestling show, that she's probably better off in WWE.
So I think every time we think about Jade Cargill and WWE, we think about all of the opportunities that she has away from the ring.
Yep.
Now, in ring, I still say that she has some ways to go. I still suggest that she should start at NXT to be able to get the rust off or whatever, or to learn their style, because it's a different style, WWE and AEW. Bigger ring, different style, softer style. And so she has to be able to learn that. But did AEW fail Jade Cargill? Well, let me tell you, this is what you say is, that look belongs in somebody's wrestling company. She had a long reign with the championship. So without the championship, what do you think was next for her? Meaning that she won the championship. So what was next? Say that, for instance, she got a 2-year extension, Browitz, and she's still with the company. Is she where Britt Baker is now, kind of in limbo? Who is she feuding with? You got plenty of women to feud with. So I'm wondering, like, after losing the championship, what would be next for her?
Right. No, I agree. And that's why I lean towards they failed her, because even during the TBS title run, like they built her up as undefeated. I thought it was a very creative way to let her learn on the fly, essentially. Like you're padding the record, you're telling a story, but they didn't seem to have that other story. Like we all talked about it when they were doing the Outcast versus the Originals. Like she would have been a home run in that hypothetical War Games match as an AEW original. You turn her face, you let her be a part of that team, give her a shot to shine, but then that didn't happen because of injuries and this and that. And you guys both just mentioned, like Julia Hart, Toni Storm, they're actually telling stories in the women's division right now. And they could have done that with her, but they just seem to not have those ideas, or she didn't want to be a part of those ideas.
Well, and part of AEW's problem and something that they have to figure out as they continue to grow, because it pissed me off this week on the men's side, when they have somebody who is as physically intimidating as Jade is, because I mean, she is,
yes,
she's big, tall, fat, strong. She's got it. She's this complete package look. They don't know how to book that.
Right.
Like Brian Cage, again, he was on my television this week, and every time I see him out there, I see him, I'm going, damn, this guy's great. And every time I see him, he's looking up at the lights at the end of the match. Like they don't know how to book these, like larger athletes. They don't. Whether we're talking about Big Bill, whether we're talking about Brian Cage, whether we're talking about Jade Cargill, they haven't figured out the best way to book these big, kind of monsters that you can have on your roster. They haven't figured that out yet.
To add to that, and Tony got asked about on the media call, Wardlow. He's just not on TV. He's not hurt right now. The guy was so
Wardlow.
over, and they're like, what do we do with him? Like, so that's where they're at right now.
If the only thing they've figured out is in order to try to get someone over is, we'll have Wardlow do a bunch of squash matches and do the Powerbomb Symphony. Like that's the only thing they've figured out how to do with big people. Other than that, most of them are looking up at the lights at the end. Like Murder Hawk Lance Archer is another example of somebody who just could never get his footing in AEW.
Yeah, you have 5 hours of AEW programming and maybe another hour and a half or two for Ring of Honor programming, but yet you can't find a spot for Wardlow or for Jade Cargill. I don't understand it. So the next thing for me is like I wrote down Jade Cargill against Athena. So that could be a blood feud. Like Athena's already proven with Willow that's a banger. But I'm just thinking like for Jade Cargill, I think you keep her special. She should be out there every other week, and I think they would have been fine. But I look at that, Gabe, and that's why maybe they failed her because, I mean, a talent like that in this arms race, you're not trying to let anyone go. Just say it out loud. Sonny Kiss, Joey Janela, Jade Cargill, all not put the part of the company? Like Jade Cargill, which one of these things is not like the other? You want to get rid of Sonny Kiss and you want to release Joey Janela because for whatever reason, that's fine. You let her go over there? Now, here's the only thing that can save this, guys. The only thing that can save this is that if Mercedes Moné is going to come out on WrestleDream. If that's the only thing that can save it, because I'll take that trade. I'll take Mercedes Moné. I'll take her, and they can have Jade. Because at least with Moné, I can make money if I book her right. Seriously.
Sure, but looking at that card, like, where's the spot for her? Like, the only women's match right now is the TBS title.
Oh, she just comes out.
No, she just comes out. She doesn't have to do anything, anything that. And again, maybe that's a new era. Like, she's big enough where that's a new era, right?
Yes.
Well, I know she's going to be handsomely paid then, because if she couldn't get to terms with WWE, AEW is going to pay through the nose for her, for sure.
Right. No, I agree. And that's the thing, like, from an AEW standpoint, like, Jade was homegrown, and the Cody leaving was a big deal, but I feel like the way that WWE is blowing this up and making such a big deal of someone that they didn't make is because they're sort of beating their chest saying, we got one of yours. Like, you put in all the work, and now we're going to get the shine off of it.
Which is why they can't put her in NXT.
Correct.
Okay.
There was way too much publicity this week about a signing that is essentially an indie signing. She came from the Pissant Company. She doesn't have any other name value. And the value they put in this week, like, that's not for Tuesday nights.
Pissant Company. And I love the WWE, like the loyalists, like, yay, we got Jade. Oh, I didn't think you watched
AEW. You know who she is? That's interesting.
Number one trend on Twitter when they announced it.
The whole tribalism over AEW, WWE stuff is just fascinating to me on Twitter. Like, it's just wrestling, good wrestling. Just enjoy it, right? Like, find good wrestling and enjoy it. That's the way I look at it. Is there anybody else that you think? Because the examples I listed, like Big Bill, Brian Cage, are examples of guys that I think could have more success in WWE than they do in AEW.
Powerhouse Hobbs is another one. Like, this Book of Hobbs thing is cool, but here's the thing that's so ridiculous. There's Bro and I sitting side by side at the United Center. I mean, here's a match here that's okay, middle of the card, until you have the addition of the Chicago crowd screaming meat at Miro and at Powerhouse Hobbs, and there's nothing to follow, but there's no follow-up. Yeah. It's money, and there's no follow-up. Where's the meat t-shirts? How come we don't get that match again, right? So Hobbs doesn't get his comeuppance, doesn't get a rematch in that. The fans were into it. A match that was just there became something because of the crowd, and they don't follow up. That just shows you, again, how they are biased against the big man. They can't book the big man. I mean, in the land of giants, Vince would love all those people. Bring them in. That's 100% Vince. You have meat, the whole meat thing. As a matter of fact, on Raw on Monday, they kind of did the whole thing with meat themselves. Was it Bronson Reed against
Otis?
Otis.
Excuse me, that's big Bronson Reed to you?
That's right, yeah. How else are you going to know that he's big? Come on. Don't confuse the audience.
I mean, my dream is that Big Bill takes on Big Bronson Reed.
Wow.
And then we can finally have a big match.
But like stuff like that, that's like not AEW big man specific. Like that's just them in general. Like the CJ Perry stuff happening this week, that was 3 weeks ago that we had that pay-per-view. And like, this is the follow-up. Like, oh, well, I'm going to go manage someone else. Like, they don't know how to continue it. I'd even throw out from a storyline standpoint, Orange Cassidy is just sort of in limbo right now. The guy main evented a show earlier this month. And now it's like, oh, you can go in this tag team match.
Yeah, I mean, him and Hook are going to be number one contenders.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know. To answer your question, though, Gabe, I think Wardlow in Vince's world, like, that look and what he can do in the ring, like, that's a WrestleMania main eventer in Vince's eyes.
That's a strong out cue right there. Woo. Cut the tape right there. Boom, right there.
Just saying, he is. That's Vince's guy.
I mean, he does have Vince written all over him.
Yes.
But in AEW, if you don't do 100 moves, you don't make it in that company, or you're not over in that company. Like, I'm surprised that Idolo's still alive. I mean, he's doing his best on Collision to give you some bangers, but again, it's always underneath. At some point, you got to develop stars, all different sizes. It's okay. They don't all have to just flip-flop and fly and do all this other stuff. You can actually have some big guys that can tell some stories. You can do that. Well,
which is why, again, on Collision, I think at least you're developing. I mean, Miro's not big and tall, but he's a big dude.
Yes.
The big old broad shoulders. And Bryan Danielson was always one when he was at WWE of, the reason why I succeed here is because you have the Big Show. You have all these things, you have from Big Show all the way down to me. You've got all these different things because it's not, if we were all the same, it would be boring. And, I think while he was there, he was very conscious with WWE of trying to have all these different things. So with Collision, I think that's your hope if you're a big man in AEW. Collision's your hope because Bryan Danielson's over there. He understands that in this circus, you got to have a lot of different variety and you got to have a lot of different things in order to hit different parts of the fan base.
Yep.
Meat.
I think they did make a t-shirt. I don't know if they really much like the Ryder. I'm a golf guy and nobody's promoted the Ryder Cup this week. I don't think anybody really promoted the t-shirts. I don't think they were oh, hey, we made this great shirt. Our fans might want to do this. They should have put on the bottom, oh, by the way, available now at Shop AEW Meat. Don't know why they didn't do that, but here we are. Speaking of finding good wrestling, OVW. Now that's probably something you're very familiar with. Obviously, John Cena, Batista, Randy Orton, all these people came through there when it was a developmental system for WWE before NXT. Well, it's now the subject of the Netflix docuseries Wrestlers. And earlier this week, Brian and Jay Hood had an opportunity to catch up with some guests. You can catch these full interviews on our YouTube page, so you can get more from Al Snow. You can get more from Matt Jones, who's one of the co-owners. And I believe you guys talked to Mr. Spectacular as well.
Yes, for us.
No. He is one of the performers for OVW, so make sure you check out our YouTube page, youtube.com/@GoodKarmaWrestling. But here are some of the interviews that Brian and Jay Hood did this week around the Wrestler series from Netflix and OVW.
Wrestlers now streaming on Netflix, and joining us Al Snow and Jessie Godderz joining us to talk about it from OVW. That's right, Mr. Spectacular joining the show. Guys, it's the talk of Netflix. You know the way things can get viral. We'll start with you, Jessie. What's the reaction been so far to this show and everything that you've seen so far on Netflix?
Outstanding. I mean, the Rotten Tomatoes, I think we're 100 out of 100 audience and them actually reviewing it. We've been on Time, Esquire, like Forbes. Yeah, he gets it. The Wall Street Journal, everybody. I think we're going down the hill, and like real quick pause, like I myself, everybody here shares the same sentiment. I know, Al, that we can't thank Greg Whiteley enough. Like, the true depiction of what goes on like through this docuseries in real life is just, it's beautiful, you know, and I don't use that word that often in life, but this is truly, for the casual viewer, please check it out. Like, check it out and talk about it. Hashtag wrestlers Netflix. You can help us out. That's how you can do it.
Yes.
If for reason, anybody that's watching, I'll give you one punch to the face. This face, the face that runs the place in many other organizations and federations and companies. And I'm saying networks. If you do not like it, and you, honest to goodness, in your heart, do not like it, you can hit me in the face. But if you watch that one, you have to talk about it. Please, that's all we ask. I don't even think we even know what's going to happen. And we're just on the precipice and the brink of, you know, seeing what it's going to truly turn
Al,
into.
Jessie, you've had cameras in your face your entire life. How different is this project versus others that you've been a part of?
Well, this was very different. I can't emphasize enough. This was not a reality show. This honestly was a documentary, you know, and we made an agreement with Greg and the crew, you know, that if we're going to do it, you know, we can't be half pregnant. We're going to go all the way. We're going to open up, and we opened up literally everything. Yeah, every aspect of our lives. Everyone's test. You know, it's a testament to everyone's commitment to OVW that they agreed to be so open with their lives, personally, financially, professionally. We totally opened up the doors wide to the crew. They were here from the end of May to the end of August, filming, you know, 12 to 16 hours a day, 7 days a week. And, you know, it was arduous at times, a bit challenging, you know, sometimes frustrating, but, you know, we trusted Greg, and we trusted the crew. And I think that the reward was definitely worth the risk, you know, and what Greg has created is quite honestly just amazing.
Well, sort of along those lines, Al, when you talk about those rock star moments, when you're coaching up some of these wrestlers, how do you talk to them about creating those rock star moments with a styrofoam mannequin head?
Well, it's literally that, is creating they have to, the onus on them is to create a persona, an aspect of their personality. It's not a character. I want to make that clear. It's not a character. It is an aspect of their personality that they have to be able to turn the volume up on and fill a room. That room sometimes is going to be like a 20,000 or 60,000 seat arena, but they have to be able to fill that room with their personality. And it has to communicate to an audience, and they have to believe in that personality, so much so that if they believe in that personality, then they're going to believe in anything that person in the ring does. And that's the key to being a star, period. You have every other aspect, every other tool. But if you don't have that ability to make an audience believe in who you are, they'll never believe what you do or say. And that unquestionably, I mean, look at some of the most major attractions we've had in professional wrestling, and they're all people that you can describe in a sentence or less. You went to your friends and you're like, there's this beer drinking, you know, he flips off his boss, he's a redneck, he's ass kicking, and you know who I'm talking about. It's Steve Austin, and you know who he is, what he stands for, what he'll do to win, and what he'll do not to lose, all in one sentence. And that is the key. That's the one thing that every one of these people here are trying to unlock, so that they can become the next, you know, major attraction in professional wrestling.
Wrestlers is streaming now on Netflix. Check it out right now. If you love Netflix, and we know what you do, check out Wrestlers. It's available right now. Al, I'll ask you, and Jesse, I'd like for you to follow up with this docuseries. How much will this help business in OVW?
I think this docuseries is going to be a tremendous boon for OVW and for the wrestlers themselves. And, you know, this is a great springboard. It's a great opportunity, and it's a great platform. Now we have to double down, and we really have to put our noses to the grindstone and work even harder to not just, you know, have the springboard and go out a little bit and drop off. Now we got to use it to really catapult us to another level.
Last night we had a sold out show, you know, and that's a testament to literally within 10 days of this coming out. It's up to us to sustain that and then can keep that trajectory going up. These guys are going to know what the pay-per-view buys are. That's going to be a metric of the success that not only the show has, but we do as an actual product as a whole. You know, I've been here for years now. When Al and I first started talking, he was like, hey, here's my vision. Here's what I want you to do. I'm the one that actually has the OVW National Heavyweight Championship for a reason. I say that I'm the face that runs the place. I know that OVW loves me. I know that Al loves me. He doesn't want to tell you that. But the fact of the matter is, it is our business. He is, you know, the puppet master behind the curtain. He is Kermit. He is the one. This is live television every single week. That's to the likes of WWE and AEW. Nobody else is doing that. There's live to tape. Absolutely. This is live television. Anybody that's in the surrounding area of Louisville, Kentucky gets to see that. You know, there's a mystique to that when it comes to entertainment, because there is no, hey, let's retake this kind of thing. Something goes wrong, we do it on the fly. That's why he's in the back just, you know, turning knobs and pushing buttons, and everything can go awry. And things that can go wrong will go wrong. Sound goes out, cameras cut off, this guy trips, this guy falls, this doesn't happen. All of that happens. If anybody actually wants to come here and see this, I encourage everybody to do so. And it's on us because it's our business. It's my brand. It's Mr. Spectacular's brand. I want people to not only come here, but enjoy it, have memories with their family, with, like, you know, sons and daughters of parents that literally come and actually have this be part of their week, you know, and it's up to us to continue to maintain that following that we now have because of this huge, massive opportunity that the vehicle of wrestlers is being able to showcase. Because we haven't changed, but the product has continuously gotten better in real time, and the storylines are just outstanding right now. The factions that we have, the things that we have going on here, there's drama, there's relationships, there's love stories, there's hatred that we used to have, you know, best friends, all of that. The entire gamut of professional wrestling is being depicted beautifully here at OVW. So I'd encourage and implore everybody to check it out.
Yeah, we did sell out last night, but I want to make it clear, we've been slowly growing, and we've been consistently getting those types of audience. That is a testament to the development of Jessie and the rest of the talent, and how hard they've been working, that we've been able to develop this, because this couldn't have happened at a better time. If it happened a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, we couldn't capitalize on this opportunity like we can now. This will only increase and enhance what we've already been on a trajectory to do since day one.
We're so glad you're with us for Good Karma Wrestling, along with Brian Rhodes from ESPN West Palm. I'm Jonathan Hood from ESPN 1000 in Chicago. And, Bros, we have a special guest, the CEO of Ohio Valley Wrestling, and our colleague from ESPN Radio. It is Matt Jones, and he is with us right here on Good Karma Wrestling. Matt, it's Brian and Jonathan. Thanks so much for joining us.
Hey, thank you, guys. Glad to be with you. I hope you enjoyed Wrestlers.
Yes, we want to talk to you about that. Wrestlers on Netflix. You can watch it now. We know a lot of our listeners and viewers watch Netflix, so check out Wrestlers, #Wrestlers, #Wrestler Netflix. Tell us about it, how you're able to be part of this venture for Ohio Valley Wrestling and the connection with this docuseries.
Yeah, so a couple years ago, I was trying to figure out kind of what was next for OVW, and I pitched the idea of let's do Last Chance U, but let's make it about, wrestling. And my co-owner happened to know a person at BBC, and we pitched it to BBC. There were 13 producers on the pitch. 12 of them said no, but one of them liked it. And he just happened to know Greg Whiteley, who did Last Chance U, and brought him in. And next thing you knew, we had the premise of a series. They came and spent 4 months with us, and you ended up with Wrestlers, which I think is, I've been a big fan of Greg's for a long time. I've always thought he does a great job, and I think it's the best thing he's ever done. I think Last Chance U is very, very good. Cheers, very good, but I think this is probably his best piece of work, and I'm biased because it's our place, but I do believe it.
Matt, we talked to Jessie Godderz and Al Snow about the ramifications of this documentary and what that does for business. So after our conversation, I was thinking, okay, because of the word of mouth, because of the success of this docuseries, I expect to see expansion for Ohio Valley Wrestling. Tell me, what do you think 2024 looks as far as expansion? Not just at the Davis Arena, but maybe throughout the Missouri Valley. Is that a possibility?
Well, I hope so. It's been great for us locally. We've sold out the last few shows we've done. I think that hopefully will continue. To expand, we need some help. We need either some investment or potentially, what I would like to see is a television deal that makes sense for us. We need to be on the air beyond Kentucky. Fight TV's great. It's still the same premise. You're still trying to sell ads. We need somebody to help us pay for the rights and expand our viewership. So that's what I want to see happen. We are going to go on tour, trying to figure out what that looks like. Part of that is going to depend on if we have a season 2 and how that works. So still kind of trying to make those decisions. But, we were number 1 on Fight TV last week in viewership. That was never the case before. So hopefully, hopefully it continues. The one thing I'm confident in, I know Al and Jessie and those guys are going to do a great job with the product. What I have to do is try to make the right business decisions to really help us take advantage.
All right. So you heard it here. You heard it here first, bro. It's Little Murray, Kentucky, Little Valparaiso, Chicago, eventually Big Show 2024. It's gonna be awesome, man.
I would love it. We've been to Murray. We've been to Murray. We have not done anything in Valparaiso, but I would love to do it. I'd love to do it in Chicago. The thing we have to test, to be quite frank with you, is can OVW sell tickets on its name outside of Kentucky? We can do it in Kentucky. We can do it in Southern Indiana. But can we do it in Indiana, Illinois? And I don't know. I hope so. But that's one of those things you have to almost try and see before you really know. And that's what I'm trying to figure out, what makes sense to do, because it's still kind of an unknown,
So sort of that mindset, the first episode, you make the comment, wrestling dorks don't spend money. Seeing that reaction, what's it been like for you watching the show and sort of seeing that behind the scenes look at others talking about you, essentially?
Yeah, like a lot of things, you say something and then you say, well, I wish I'd said that differently. What I meant,
right.
Here's what I meant. What I meant was there's this indie wrestling fan base online that hates OVW. Not so much OVW, but they like this kind of wrestling that we don't do, right? They like the sort of some of them like this very sort of, physical death match kind of thing. You see that in there. Some of them like wrestling that's about flips and how athletic everybody is. And we're more of a storyline based wrestling. And what I was talking about there was, I had been asked, I think by one of the directors, how do you have much of an online following out in the world? And I basically was like, no, wrestling dorks don't like us and then they don't spend money. But I'm talking about this very small sort of niche of people that don't even like this show, right? These are fans of people. Look, this. Wrestling fans like to hate wrestling. It's part of their thing, And but
it's a tribalism. We get it.
It is, and like but it made it seem like I was talking about all wrestling fans, which is stupid because wrestling fans spend a lot of money. I mean, look at WWE, AEW, even things like GCW do a great job. It's just we're different than that, and I think what we have to do to make money is get the kind of people that watch WWE, don't watch indie wrestling, but would like the kind of local nature of what we do. And that's what we have to find. And that's a little different than the online wrestling fan base. And that's what I was talking about.
Okay. We want to make sure that's clear. We've seen your other interviews talk about this. I just know you because I followed your career. If Coach Stoops or Coach, Cal said UK dorks, you'd be all over them.
Yes.
So
I understand. Listen, I know what. First of all, I consider dork a term of affection. I'm a huge dork.
Okay.
I when I was in college, I wore a shirt that said dorks. So I'm not. I mean, Jeff Foxworthy says about the word redneck. I can say it because I is one. I is a dork, right? So, But with that said, without the context of everything I just said,
sure.
Totally understand why it made people mad, and I get it. But also they were setting me up as a heel. It worked, so I think that was part of it too.
Again, big thanks to Matt Jones, to Al Snow, to Mr. Spectacular. Catch the full interviews if you want to listen to those or watch those on our YouTube page, youtube.com/goodkarmawrestling. All right, what do we have this week, Brian, in news and notes?
All right, we talked about it earlier. Wrestling Observer reporting that Edge's WWE contract is set to expire Saturday, September 30th. Just another note, WrestleDream AEW, that is Sunday, October 1st.
All right, quickly, more likely, Adam Copeland, Mercedes Moné.
Adam Copeland.
Mercedes, but I think both.
Whoa, you think we get 2 years ago when
yes.
you had Danielson and Adam Cole show up in Chicago?
I think it's one of those nights.
Whether she's healthy or not, she's not going to be physical, but if she shows up, it would just be huge. He says new era. Edge doesn't seem like new era, but Mercedes does. And again, they have other big shows that they have, but that maybe because of the New Japan connection, maybe that's why she shows up there on Sunday. We'll find out. I think the Edge will definitely be there. Mercedes, I'm pretty 50-50 on it.
Speaking of big names,
I think we get Mercedes eventually in AEW. And again, if both of them show up, that feels like it lives up to, and TK's had issues living up to these promises of new era of AEW.
Ringside News reporting there are talks of The Rock having a match at Elimination Chamber in Australia ahead of WrestleMania. Speculation that Endeavor wants to plan a huge scale event down under for February's event.
I guess if he's available and he wants to do it, the last time he came back, he had matches before Mania. So he did the tag match with Cena before the first once-in-a-lifetime match that he had with John when they took on The Miz and R-Truth. So he had that tag match, which was at Survivor Series. And then he had the match where he won against CM Punk at the Royal Rumble before he had the second match of a lifetime with John Cena in those back-to-back years. So he had those 4 matches in that year span. It would make sense if he can make it work in his schedule, because I think that if you want to do something meaningful, which is kind of what he hinted at, when he was talking with Pat McAfee about, it kind of fell through in 39. And if you want to do something meaningful, my guess is you want to have a match before it to set up whatever happens at Mania. So I think that makes a ton of sense. And I think The Rock, after returning for the first time and who knows how long and getting the ovation that he did in Colorado, he seems more agreeable to it right now. So if you're WWE, if you're Endeavor, you strike when the iron's hot.
Yes, I guess if it's available, sure. I'm not privy on what's going on with the strike. Is the strike is it over now?
Writers' strike is over.
Mm-hmm.
Actors are talking on Monday. I think they have a negotiation session. So I think it's going to be coming. It's going to be coming to a close here relatively soon.
This is a great time for WWE because now the wrestlers can still, like a Cena or a Rock, and say, well, I know that the strike's coming to an end, but yet I'm booked for this.
Right.
And so that's a great time for for The Rock. I would say this, that if The Rock's available, sure, I would not wrestle until WrestleMania, but maybe Perth, Australia is where he gets the kinks out. I just think that he's that special that he should just be in Philadelphia. But if he wants to wrestle and give people a preview of what people are going to see, go right ahead. The more Rock, the better, as long as he's around.
Plan your life accordingly. That show will air primetime in Australia, which means 6 a.m. Eastern, 3 o'clock Pacific. For
That's right.
Chamber.
We'll have our post show at 9 a.m. So make sure
GKW brunch.
I was about to say, I've done coffee golf before. Coffee wrestling's a new one. I'm into it.
We'll be up and ready to go. We'll have breakfast with GKW, a special show for the Australian audience of GKW. Right.
In AEW contract news, conflicting reports on Serena Deeb and her absence from AEW. Fightful says there are 2 reports out right now. One directly from Deeb says she is hurt. Other sources say she had a serious disagreement with Tony Khan over TV time for women's matches. She was last seen on TV in October of 2022.
I mean, if she's the one trying to fight the good fight for the women, good on her. Because again, we talked about how some of these women are growing in AEW and how some are just kind of floating. They have enough TV time where I think they need to have more than just the one women's token match.
Right.
On an episode of Collision or Dynamite or what have you. So good for her. If that's the fight she wants to fight, I'm behind her.
I really like Serena Deeb a lot. Got a chance to interview her. Last time we saw her, I got a chance to interview her when I guess there was some AEW event that was on, and she was just so well-spoken and really complimentary about the business and where women are right now. And it has been a mystery of where she was. I think she's been has disappeared off of social media as well for a long time. I think I looked her up a few months ago, DM'd her, we exchanged information, have not heard from her. So, she is one of those technical wrestlers that would fit in perfectly with AEW in the scene right now. So I hope that she comes back on the scene because she has reinvented herself, and I hope we see her soon because she's really great in the ring.
And finally, some Impact contracts coming up. PCO has given his notice to Impact, his contract up October 30th, and reports that Sami Callihan's contract is up this weekend with Impact and that he will be moving on.
Sami Callihan.
There's reportedly interest for him to work backstage at places. The guy's run wrestling companies in the past.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to hire him as a producer, more power to you.
It's just, okay, so a person that should be in the ring for a big company, Sami Callihan or Nick Aldis. It's weird that Aldis is just a producer in WWE. Like, that you can't use that guy? Aldis in the ring? Like, it's weird.
Well, I hope you guys plan your life to see Mox versus Callahan on a Dynamite because we know that's going to happen.
See, that's why we paused. Because Dave was thinking it, and I was thinking it, but we didn't say it out loud. Like, I don't want to see that garbage wrestler like in AEW.
That's Mox's guy.
Yeah. That's why Gabe and I didn't say anything. It's like, oh God, could you imagine him in AEW with his nonsense and his garbage matches? Like, I don't want to.
Yeah, especially.
He's an attraction. I understand. I'm just saying, like.
But going back to Nick Aldis, like Nick Aldis has the look of a WWE guy. I'm surprised that they can't.
Makes no sense.
Can't figure something out. All right. Do your best. Limit it to just 3. And if you can't, I understand. Matches of the week.
Okay. All right. How about this? I'll start here. Drew McIntyre against Kofi Kingston.
Yep.
So 2 weeks in a row where Kingston gets on. Oh, I know why. Former WWE champion. He actually can go. How about that? Singles, away from the nonsense, he actually can go.
And I kind of like the slow burn heel turn that they're doing for Drew. Like that's, just kind of feeding him to the Viking Raiders after the match. Like I thought the match was great. And then the storytelling before and after was spectacular as well.
And like the common sense stuff with Drew. It's like, screw this guy. Like he screwed me over. Like I'm not just going to be okay with him now. Like that's working.
Yeah.
Asuka and Io Sky from SmackDown. So good that it should have been on a pay-per-view. I know there's a lot of stuff around it, but I just think when you put it in the ring, they went 17 minutes on SmackDown. I'm like, why am I not paying for this? It's like those two should be going at it again on a major pay-per-view.
I know you closed the show with the Cena contract angle signing. AJ Styles gets attacked in the back, but man, that was so good. It should have closed the show. Should have made.
I'll also add, I wrote for that match. That was an AEW style match. Like, it was one of those matches you should pay for. And the backstory was so deep that you had to be in the weeds to know stuff, which, like, I didn't, but Michael Cole sort of acknowledged, like, hey, they've interacted in the past in Japan and stuff.
I think Cole did a great job. And that's something, and we've mentioned this before, but like the person who's been able to flap their wings and fly the most since Vince McMahon's departure of week-to-week television is Michael Cole.
Yes.
And now unfortunately now he's become too good where he has to be on both shows, but so it's going to be tough for him, but for him to be able to, like, under Vince McMahon, he would have never been able to talk about that stuff.
Yep.
But he was able to, because it ended up being like I think they had 2 commercial breaks in the match. It was that long. So he had enough time to, like, explain some of the different angles and aspects of that match. And I thought Cole did a tremendous job.
Danielson against Ricky Starks, the Texas Death Match in Grand Rapids.
Mm-hmm.
Just fantastic. It's amazing. These specialty matches, the old schooler in me was like, I saw the greatest Texas Death Match, blah, 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 1989. I saw the best strap match, Wahoo McDaniel, the Indian, taking on blah, blah, all that stuff, right? And they're just rewriting history of, it's the greatest strap match. Amazing with Bro. It's sitting there with him as he watch. I'm enjoying the hell of that match. He's watching Florida State. So
multitasking.
I mean, no, you're completely beak into the phone, staring in, looking at Florida State football. Well, I'm like, this is the greatest strap match I've ever seen. His beak is there for Norvell. Nonetheless, Danielson against Ricky Starks Texas Death Match. Gabe, it's the greatest Texas Death Match I've ever seen. Yes. So they're just rewriting history, and this is not hyperbole. These 2 matches have been fantastic. But the question is, when is Starks going to win one of these? That's what I'm wondering.
Agreed.
I think he beats Wheeler Yuta this weekend.
I said Danielson. I want to know. That's not good enough.
I don't know. I mean, you would think that they're going to continue and do some other. I mean, are they going to have a cage match? Like, I don't. When you start with strap match and then go to Texas Death Match, I'm not sure how you keep elevating for the feud to continue. Like, those are matches that are typically blow-offs, and yet here we are, because obviously I would say, despite the handshake at the end of the match, like, Wheeler Yuta wrestling Ricky Starks is continuing some sort of Blackpool Combat Club Ricky Starks storyline. So I guess we would maybe get another one at Full Gear, or who the hell knows? It'll just be another random collision. I don't know. But I don't know how you elevate. Again, I don't know how you elevate from strap match to death match. I don't know what's above death match.
No, I agree. My matches, I had Asuka, I had Brian. My third, though, Kofi and Drew were great. I'm sticking on Monday. Dragon Lee versus Dirty Dom. Dominic Mysterio is growing before our
there goes
eyes.
Jay Hood. Well, I understand it. I respect it.
No respect for Dom.
Well, I'll tell you what. If you want to be that guy, then you got to start giving us an NXT report. I didn't know you had time to watch NXT.
No, it was on Raw. I didn't have to watch it on NXT.
It was on Raw? Oh.
Yeah.
It was on Raw.
I missed it.
I understand the confusion.
I watched the show.
I understand the confusion.
I forgot about that. Sorry.
Yeah, the random Dragon League call up and they let him shine and then get pinned clean by Dom.
Then you know what? I apologize. That's fair.
Okay.
It was on USA. That's fine.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I would also throw in there for Monday night the tag match to end. I know we had a pretty schmozzy finish, but like, even though I'm getting a little tired of the story between KO, Sammy, and the Judgment Day, like, they put on a hell of a match to close things out. Like, It was spectacular. Like, you knew it was going to have some sort of funky ending. You knew that JD was going to have some sort of, hand in it, the way that he was told he was never going to be able to join the Judgment Day, so he would have to redeem himself somehow. But it was like, I honestly thought, watching it, going, all right, I guess. And I'm on the edge of my seat by the end. Like, they were able to hook me again in the main event of Monday Night Raw.
It was fantastic. I know. Listen, I understand that we're tired of that match and that rivalry. It always delivers, though.
No,
What delivers?
Yeah, I'm tired of the rivalry. I guess it's truly a fight forever situation where everybody's creative enough where they've been able to do it. And, again, like AEW, if they ever do another straight up Young Bucks versus Lucha Brothers, like they've done that match 6,000 times, but they're going to come up with some new creative twist to it that I know I'm going to absolutely love and enjoy.
I need more spacing. I don't need it every Monday.
Yeah.
I understand. When's this NXT Bakersfield show? Is that this weekend too?
No, NXT No Mercy, Saturday night.
Oh, it's Saturday night.
Yeah,
you got the card? What's the card?
Becky Lynch? Is Dom fighting?
Becky Lynch versus Stratton, the rematch there.
All right.
So we got that. We got Braun Baker versus Baron Corbin. No, that doesn't do it for you. Carmelo Hayes defends the NXT title against Dragunov.
You're telling me Baron survived the releases?
Yeah, somehow he's just hiding in NXT. They didn't realize he was there.
That's a great point, by the way. That's a great point.
Not that I'm rooting for people to lose their jobs. I can't remember the last time they built him up to be with JBL, and JBL went, you know what? I don't want the paycheck. You keep him. I'm out of here.
That's exactly what happened, too.
Carmelo versus Dragunov will be good for the NXT title. Dirty Dom defends the North American Championship against Trick Williams because no one told NXT that they were cutting Ali, and then they cut him. So he's not working Saturday.
Oof.
Yeah. You know what? You're right. There's some good matches on there. Now, again, like I'm a Dragunov fan. I think that's great. I think that to see Becky Lynch, that should be the main event, right? Shouldn't it? Becky Lynch?
It has to be. Either that, or we get a Brock Lesnar and it's the first thing out, so she's on the first thing smoking, brother. Like that's.
Oh yeah.
It's one of the two. She's either going out first, so she can just all right. I'm going home to Seth and the kid, or it goes on last because it is the biggest match on the card.
That is the GKW Cardinal rule. If you see a match with a main eventer at the top of the card, they're losing. So long. One up the limbo. That's how it works.
First No Mercy since 2017, according to Wikipedia.
That's Triple H just using the old names.
Yeah.
Can I get Great American Bash?
Just diving into the old WCW and WWE names. So, maybe we're gonna have the pay-per-view this weekend. You've got NXT if that's something you're into. Although, again, a couple of really good matches if you happen to have nothing going on Saturday night. I'm hoping we have as good of a week this week as we did this past week because the shows were spectacular. I think, again, we covered that. They were all very, very good. Again, check out our YouTube page. There you can check out the full interviews with Al Snow, with Matt Jones as well, if you want to learn more about OVW and the Netflix series Wrestlers. We'll be right back here next week.